Good morning. So, today we're going to talk about the book Forest Bathing by Dr. Qing Li. So if you haven't read it, it's going to be kind of a spoiler alert, I guess you could say. So we're just going to talk about the first couple chapters. I refer to them as chapters, and I really wasn't really thinking. It's the introduction. Chapter 1 is really what I want to talk about today. So in the introduction in chapter 1, he sits here and he talks about how in the 80s there was a term called Techno Stress, and it's about how our bodies react to different technology and how it kind of helps bring our health down. And then in Japan in the 80s, they also started doing a thing called forest bathing. It was kind of first started to really help people preserve their forestry, and they thought that if people would come to the forest to help their health and heal, then they would help take care of the forest more. And this gentleman, he is a scientist, and starting in 88, he went to one of the forests over there and was going through and started doing it. Wasn't really like a study. He said that it was just kind of like to go there and experience, to see the whole ordeal, and that's kind of what started his path going into studying how the forest, he refers to it as forest medicine. So he studies how the forest has an effect on our bodies medically, and how they help improve our body's health. So we just well, Trey and I read it. We read it in the car on Audible. So we listened to it. I listened to it again yesterday and some more this morning, just to kind of help refresh my memory. This is like the third time I've read it, so. But he talks about, all of the ways in which he goes more in depth on statistics and numbers, and I have some notes written down on it, but talks about going into how the U.S. spends over 10 hours a day looking at a screen. He talks about how 93% of the U.S. spends their time indoors, and 6% of that is in cars. So he starts talking about how all this time we're spending indoors, nobody goes outside anymore, projections for the future and everything. And when I started reading this book the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. So when I first read it, I was just kind of like, oh my god, yeah, totally agree. It kind of just like makes sense to me, just because of the experiences that I've had with being outside, how happy, if you watched yesterday's morning video, I was kind of like wired up. I was ready to go. You probably would have thought I drank a pot of coffee before I made the video, but I didn't. I just got up and seen the sun was shining, and I needed sunshine. I needed it very, very bad. And we just ended up spending the whole day outside and doing all kinds of fun stuff, and I just feel a lot better. I've noticed we actually did a video on the trip back in December. We went to Red River Gorge. We went to an off-grid cabin, and the day we left, I think it was that day, maybe I think it had to have been the day of, I was at work, everything was all stressed out, manager was out, so I was having to do my job and the manager's job, and then just my job is stressful anyway. It shouldn't be. Most people probably wouldn't think that it is, but it is. And when I was at work on that day, just like a lot of things happened, and I called my boss and I said, you got to get somebody over here. I gotta go. I said, I gotta go. It was, I was about to go lose my mind. So I left, and just by leaving and kind of just like being like, okay, I'm done, I'm off, I'm not going into that part of a mental state. And like I could just tell that there was a difference just from leaving that environment to driving home, which takes less than a half a mile. So here comes another vehicle. So I came home and I knew exactly what I was going to be getting into. I knew I was going to go to Red River Gorge. I knew we were going to be camping. I knew I wasn't going to have any electricity or any kind of internet or anything like that. So I was ready to go, and we ended up leaving that night, getting down there. It was the middle of the night. We hiked up to the cabin, and by the end of the weekend, Trey was saying that it was like a whole body reset for him. Like he's like, we got to do this more often. He doesn't ever hardly get a break from work, not like I do. He works, you know, all year, and I get off over a week in the spring, week in the fall, 2 months in the summer, and a couple weeks in winter, which I have no clue how work's gonna go come fall. I haven't been told anything, but who knows how it's gonna go. But all I'm gonna do is just sit here and spend my summer hiking and camping and being out in the garden and spending a lot of my time out in nature, just because from the experiences I've had and knowing that there's actual like studies done and everything on how nature affects the body, and reading some of that, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm not stupid for believing this. But yeah, so I came up with a couple questions to ask you guys, so you can put them in the comments, and then next Sunday we'll go over the actual real chapter 2, which is the how to practice Shinrin-Yoku, which is what the book refers to as forest bathing. So I just put down in the comments, what are some of your thoughts about the book so far? Do you believe in what he is saying? Have you experienced any forest bathing before? If you have, what was your experience with it? How did you feel going in? How did you feel afterwards? And it's not like, I'm not meaning like specifically like, oh, I gotta go spend 2 hours in the woods and figure out how my mental state is. Like if you just felt really stressed and then you ended up going away for the weekend or whatever, or for a hike, how did you feel afterwards? So yeah, we're coming up on about almost 9 minutes now, so I wanted to keep them, you know, within the 10 minutes. And I haven't been drinking any of my coffee, but yeah, I'm not as lively as I was yesterday morning. I slept in a little bit too late this morning, which if I sleep past a certain time, usually about 7:30, if I sleep past that time, then I'm kind of groggy the rest of the day. And I slept till just after 8, so and it's kind of hot out here this morning. It's already 70 degrees and it's just about 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna head inside, and I'm actually gonna go spend some time in the garden again. I got more time to spend in the garden, and hopefully we'll go up and maybe go camp for the night or something. I don't know what we're gonna do. Probably not camp because Trey's neck's still hurting him, so we'll probably just hang out here at the house in the garden and be outside in the sun and get some of that forest bathing in, I guess you could say. So just put your thoughts on the book down in the comment, if you've experienced any of it, if you believe it, if you don't, if you're skeptical, just put them down in the comments. Stay natural, get out in nature, hello, and I'll see you guys in the morning.